Time for social studies. Morning work's gonna get set aside. I need your social studies notes out. You may have a copy version of this, so if you're at home you can print it out or you can pull it over into Notability so you can write on it. If you're here in class, you have a paper copy. You're gonna want that and your social studies notes for chapter 7 out. We're gonna get started. Notes. So you might have workbook page you'll have to go back and look at. You have a colony chart.
We're on chapter 7, right?
Yep, we are.
Oh, my notes.
So you have a chapter 7 test tomorrow, so we're gonna go over the study guide together, because we didn't necessarily review all of those lessons together. If you need to look back at the PDF to fill this in, you can do that. If you need to look at your notes, those worksheets might be helpful. Yeah, you're gonna wanna write this stuff down, either on that paper or you can fold all their copy over into Notability and you can type it. However you want to record this information. You will want to study this then tonight. Review the things you didn't know so you're ready for tomorrow. Last test of the 9 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That's my plan. I'm hoping we have time. All right, first one, who founded the following colonies and why? So, Maryland and Georgia, who founded those colonies? Sean?
Maryland was
Mhm.
founded by Lord Baltimore.
Right, Lord Baltimore. Or it was, they were the Calverts, right? Dad, or the father had it first, he died, and then the son took over. So Lord Baltimore is what they called both of them. But one was, they were both Calverts, okay? Why did they form that colony? Sean?
Religious and political freedom for Catholics and Toleration Act.
Yeah, so here's where we learned about the Toleration Act. So it was religious freedom, right? Goodness, there we go. Okay. That was Maryland. Religious freedom, political freedom. So political meaning like government, that kind of stuff. Although they weren't involved in any of that. How about Georgia? Slide it this way. There we go. Why was Georgia found, or who and why? Wyatt?
James.
Yep, James
Oglethorpe.
Oglethorpe. There we go. And why?
To let people have another chance.
Who? What people though? You're right. Which people specifically? Who were those people?
People that didn't. I can't remember
That's all right.
who they were.
We're gonna find some help here. Kenny?
To give people that were in debt to England a second chance.
Right. So people owed England money. Why did they owe people money? Adam? Right, England paid for them to come over here to North America, so they were called indentured servants, to give indentured servants a chance to pay off their debt. Okay. There's Georgia and Maryland. Another word for backcountry. I'm looking for another word, not necessarily a definition, another word that we talked about and wrote down. This would have been from lesson 1. It should be on your colonies chart.
That's what I have.
That's what you have out. Yeah, I think it was it green? Looks like it might have been green. The green colonies chart. All right. Let's get that out, Josh. Green colony chart. What did we write down for backcountry, Sean?
It is the land in back or beyond.
Right, it was the land back or beyond. So those that land in between the Appalachians and the coastal plains. But what else did they call it? There's another name for it. Another name for it. Riker, you remember? I'll give you a hint. That's what letter it starts with.
We can't see.
Ava? No, not that. Riker?
Waterworks?
Nope. Brendan? Goodness. If I can spell, there we go. The Piedmont. So another name for their backcountry was called the Piedmont. That was that area in between the Appalachian Mountains and the coastal plain. So it was the backcountry. Nobody was in there yet. Okay, nobody was settled in there yet. Yeah, we need to see some of that top. There you go. Which colonies were originally one large colony? So we saw this in those New England colonies, right? The colonies were split into smaller ones. The same thing happened in these southern colonies. Which one? Josh?
Carolina?
Yeah, the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. Why did they split it? Why did they split North and South Carolina? It's kind of an interesting reason. Maya?
Only because they were very different. But,
Yep.
this one was really dry and one was really wet.
So they had, you might say, different geographical features, right? Okay, the land was different, the weather was a little different. Okay. So they were once one colony, probably not for very long, and they decided, let's split it. They had different cash crops in some of those areas. We talked about those yesterday. Mm-hmm. Trying to get it all on here for them to see. There we go. What you need, Riker?
Didn't one Carolina sell, what's it called? Like rice, and then the other one sell, tobacco?
Yep, rice and tobacco. So the northern portion of those southern colonies sold tobacco. The southern portion sold rice. I think that comes up on our study guide here. What's the Toleration Act? We kind of talked about it already. That was with Maryland. Lord Baltimore there brought that Toleration Act in. What is it? Yeah, what's the Toleration Act? I think we might have added that to our green colony chart as well. Did it allow? Think back to what Maryland itself allowed, why they formed it. That's kind of where this Toleration Act comes into play. What did it give all of those colonists? Maya?
Religious freedom?
Yeah, it gave religious freedom to all Christians. Okay? See if I can make this a little colorful, that way it's easier to decipher what you're writing down. So the purple is what you're writing, and the stuff there in black will already be the questions.
Are you doing that in school?
Nope, this is Word. Microsoft Word.
That's
I don't think you could do this in Schoology, can you?
I don't know.
I mean, it might be possible.
I thought that teachers could do special things in school.
No, not really. Not so much. Okay, I'm gonna scroll up. We can always scroll back down for later if you need to see it again. 2 questions here on this next one. Was on that lesson 3 worksheet, I believe, that we just did yesterday.
No, I know what that is.
So you can find that answer there more than likely.
What we did yesterday on our iPad?
Yeah, the one we did yesterday on our iPad. Okay. Where did most enslaved Africans work? Let's start with the first part. Where did they work? Riker?
Enslaved workers, they work on the field.
They did. They
Because
worked. Mhm.
a lot of people had like they were rich, so they had large farms and they had to do a lot of work, so they didn't want to do it. So
Exactly.
They just got slaves.
They didn't want to do it. So on these large farms, which they're called what? What are those large farms called, Sean? Right, they worked on the plantations, which Riker is correct. They were large farms, and those owners didn't want to do the work. They brought these slaves in to do all of the work for them. So think about how that's going to benefit those owners. How does that help them? How did those enslaved workers make money for these owners? Kenny?
Because, like, they would work without being paid, but
And what did that mean for those owners?
that, they didn't have to pay them even though that they were doing their own work, which would make their plants ready so that they could sell them.
And they could produce more plants, right? They could produce more plants that would make more money because they weren't necessarily paying them a fair price. Okay, so those owners of those plantations would make lots of money. Other things, Adam?
It also got done.
It did, would get done much faster. Sure. They didn't have to wait too long, right? You could have a lot more to sell. Sean?
I have a question.
Sure.
What's the point of having a huge farm if you don't like doing the work and you don't do the work?
Well, you tell me the answer to that. What was the point of them having these large farms and I didn't want to have to do the work? What were they gaining from it? We were just talking about what they're gaining from it.
Money?
What's that?
Money?
Wealth, right? So wouldn't you want to have a large farm that you didn't have to work on?
Kinda.
Kinda, right? No. So I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
That was how they made, that's how they prospered. Okay, they had these large farms. Okay? How did the enslaved Africans deal with their hardships? What did they do? Maya?
They kept their culture alive by telling stories.
Yeah. So they kept their culture alive by telling stories. I think they mentioned they would sing songs, right? Okay.
Their
Yes.
colony alive?
What's that?
Culture.
Their culture. They kept their culture alive.
I thought
Telling
my-
stories, singing songs. Okay. Sometimes they might have tried to rebel. All right. Where was the first African American settlement in North America? This might have been lesson 2. So it was probably on the lesson 2 worksheet, I believe. Sean?
Spanish Florida.
Yeah, Spanish Florida. They would, whoops, wrong spot here. They would head down there to Spanish Florida for their freedom. Let's see. Here's those ones about the cash crop. So main crop, cash crop, similar words there. Second, I have some people writing still, so we'll hang on here a minute. All right, main crop in the northern part of those southern colonies. Riker? Tobacco. Main crop in the southern part of the colonies. Somebody, anybody tell me? Rice. Talked about that yesterday. Let's see. Oh, nope, we're good. So, northern part, tobacco. Southern part was rice. How we doing? Good? We all caught up? Okay, I didn't want to go too fast. If you're watching the video, you can always pause. All right, next one then. What caused conflicts between the southern colonists and their Native American neighbors? Kenny?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is tobacco a drug? Yeah.
Nowadays, that's mainly what we use it as, right? Something we shouldn't use. All right. What caused conflicts between those colonists and their Native American neighbors? Sean?
Who owns lands and land area?
Okay. We'll say, I'm trying to think how I want to word it. So the colonists were taking over the land, right? Colonists settling on Native American lands. What else? How were they acquiring that land in some cases? Were they doing it in a kind, cooperative manner? No, they weren't. Juliana, what else?
They were fighting over the land.
They were definitely fighting over it. Kenny?
The colonists would just come in and barge in and just.
They would,
so on.
yep, they would destroy villages. What else? Two other things. Riker?
Got over farmland and crops.
We're saying they settled on Native American lands, right? They're fighting over lands. They destroyed villages. There's two other things. Sean?
Stole crops and food.
No, we're still on the same. These are two very different things from land and crops. I'm going to let you find them. Find two more. Because otherwise I'm just doing all the work. And that's not how it's going to work. Oh, I think we answered this one already, didn't we? How did some enslaved people deal with their hardship?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Ooh, what is a broker and why did Southern colonists hire? Let's see what's left. That's the last one. So what we're going to do, you need to find two more. Had nothing else to do with land. Okay, yes, they fought over the land. Yes, the colonists destroyed their crops or their villages. There were two other things that those colonists did to the Native Americans.
Is it?
Okay, yeah. Find it and write it down. And then I want you to find out what a broker is and why they were hired. What was the broker's job? We talked about that yesterday. That was in lesson 3. So two things you're going to do. Finish this question, answer that question for social studies. Test tomorrow.